Hey, this is Dwayne Smith at AthensTennis.com, and today we want to talk about forcing your opponent to make mistakes, forcing errors upon your opponent. And one of the things I want to start out with is some interesting statistics. Did you know that tennis is a game of errors? That when they look at data, for instance, from the U.S. Open recently, looking at all the matches that were played in singles, 27% of the points ended in a winner, 27%. Unforced errors were 31%, and forced errors were 41%. And these are the best players in the world. And again, they're only hitting winners about 27% of the time. Errors account for 73% of the points won. So your job should not be necessarily to try to hit more winners, but try to get your opponent to make more errors. Now, how do you do that? Well, basically, you put them under pressure. There's different things you can do in a match that can help your opponent feel the pressure and potentially make more mistakes. So let's talk about some of them. Probably the most important is depth. The deeper you can keep the ball, the better. You're putting your opponent really on defense. You're putting them under a lot of pressure when you drive them back in the court. Now, I've set out these four cones to sort of represent the area in the court where we would like a lot of our balls to hit. And obviously it's deep. It's also near the center. The center of the court cuts down on the angles they can play. So getting the ball out deep wide is okay sometimes too, but remember, as you pull the ball out wide, you're opening more angles and more options for their return. So depth, depth, depth. The deeper you can keep the ball, the harder the shot you're making your opponent hit, and they probably will create more errors in that. Another thing that can really put pressure on your opponent is consistency. Now, you played those players that just get every ball back, and they always make you hit the next ball. And a lot of players will lose patience with that. You know, they're not willing to hit 6, 8, 10, 14 balls in a rally. So if you can work on your consistency and really make your opponent hit more and more and more balls, that tends to bring up the error level as well. The location of the ball, the height of the ball. Remember, most players want to hit the ball in their strike zone. Their strike zone being a little bit above the knees and maybe about shoulder high. And if you continue to feed balls in that strike zone, that's where they're comfortable. So try to get some balls out of that strike zone. That means throwing up some high lobs, maybe some moon balls that really make them reach up here to hit balls. It could be hitting short balls, low balls, balls with some spin or some cut to make them reach down low. So try to get some balls out of their strike zone and try to notice in the warm-up in the first few games what they don't hit well. You know, if they don't hit that shot well up high, give them a lot of those balls. If they don't hit that low shot, give them a lot of those as well. All right, what are some other things we can do to try to force errors on our opponents? Well, spin. You know, most people probably hit naturally with some top spin. That tends to be the most favorite spin in tennis. And that throws a lot of players off. They're used to, for the most part, kind of flat balls. So if you can hit a shot with a lot of top spin that really bounces up high, that throws their timing off, and it also often makes them hit that shot out of their strike zone. And again, if you can cut, if you can underspin or cut the ball, slice the ball, that keeps the ball low too. So there's players that like one type of ball or the other, maybe flat, maybe top spin, maybe slice. Try all three and see which one they're uncomfortable with, and that's the one, of course, you want to use more often. Another thing is moving your opponent. It's easy to hit a shot when it sort of comes right to you and you're set up for it, but when you have to move to the ball, so obviously going side to side a lot in singles, anytime you're having a run to hit a ball, it makes it more difficult. But also moving them up. You'd be amazed at the number of players that move side to side pretty well, but they don't move up very well. So you really need to develop a drop shot or some short angles in your game to try to force those opponents to move up, because again, a lot of players aren't willing to do that or don't do that very well, so moving's up a great thing to do. Obviously, power. Sometimes you can hit the ball hard and just the pace of the ball can throw your opponent off, but you can also hit the ball soft. There's a lot of players that like hard balls. That's what they get in matches and drills most of the time, lessons, and they're looking for a ball with pace. So sometimes hitting soft balls can throw people out of their timing, and they have to develop their own pace on the ball, which they don't like. So try to use that as well. Now, court positioning is another thing. Remember, the deeper I am in the court, the more time I give my opponent to see the ball, to see my shot, to react to my shot, to get to where my shot's going to be. As I step into the court, and you see this a lot on the pro circuit, they're always talking about where players hit the ball from, not necessarily where players hit the ball to, but where they hit the ball from. And usually the winning singles players tend to get at the baseline or even try to hit a lot of the balls inside the baseline, because essentially that robs your opponent of time. They don't have as much time to see the shot, react to the shot, get to the shot, set up for the shot. So the closer you can get into the court, sometimes taking balls out of the air, and obviously net's the ultimate position. When you get to the net, you're really robbing them of time. So again, that's another thing you can work on. So those are some of the things that can really force errors on your opponent. And remember, according to the statistics, 40 or more % of points end in forced errors, and only about 27% end in winners. So your job, and what you should really be thinking and working on, is not necessarily trying to increase your winners, although that's not a bad thing, but really try to increase your opponent's forced errors. And again, that will probably help you the most. Now, the numbers we gave you were singles. They would change a little bit for doubles. You would expect more winners in doubles, since players tend to be at the net hitting volleys and overheads, but the same rules apply. Dwayne Smith, AthensTennis.com. See you next time.